I am so sick of being disappointed by the MCU. Marvel has just kind of lost that spark and nothing has been the same since Endgame. Nothing in Phase 5 has really made me feel that we are back in the golden age of the MCU. Until now. In the spoiler-free review, I'm going to break down why Thunderbolts is peak MCU, and this is coming from a guy who is virtually all out on Marvel because of what they've put out in the past, but this movie brought me back. Now before I get started, make sure you drop your thoughts on the movie if you've seen it down in the comments, alright? Let's get started. Now, if you don't know what Thunderbolts is about, it's about a team of misfits that are put together by Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, and they have to come together to stop a force that's stronger than every Avenger combined. Now, the first thing you're gonna notice about this movie is that it is dark, and I'm not just talking aesthetically, it's very dark and very gritty, but the overall themes and the overall things that they talk about and how far they go into those themes, that's not something that I ever expected from an MCU movie. They play it very safe, very fun, very bright. This movie is the complete opposite. Now, even though the movie is very serious and they go into very uncomfortable territory, there is still a lot of humor to it thanks to the characters. And the thing that they do really well in this is there isn't that typical Marvel humor where something very serious happens and then there's a one-liner to break all the tension. The humor that is made in this movie is because of the characters. We all know them and they're very smart-ass. The remarks that they've made in the past, it works. It works. It doesn't feel like it's very forced, and I really enjoyed it. And there was never really a time in the movie where I felt that it was out of place or they're trying too hard or anything like that you feel all the time in the MCU. Somehow they made it work, and I think it's because of the characters that they brought into the movie. And speaking of characters, every member of the Thunderbolts got their time to shine. Well, most of them. And they made Bucky cool again. I cannot get over how long it's been since they showed us what the Winter Soldier can do. He has honestly been sidelined the entire MCU. If you really break it down, he was a force, he was the main villain in the Winter Soldier, but ever since then, he's done nothing. He's done virtually nothing to really stand out from the rest of the heroes that we've seen until this movie. They brought him into this, and he is one of the top Thunderbolts with what he can do. And it was just a nice change of pace because that's one of the things that I've been so critical on the MCU. And a character that we have not seen in a very long time, Ghost, is back. We have not seen her since Ant-Man and the Wasp. We've not really heard anything of her since that movie. I thought we would never see her again, but she is back in the Thunderbolts, and she surprisingly holds her own. She's not really the focus of this movie. She's not really one of the main primary characters of the movie as, say, Yelena, but she does enough here to warrant why she should be here. And honestly, her powers are so cool. I'm just happy that she's back. So Yelena is the main focus of this movie. She is the central character. We see the movie through her eyes, and it's all about her letting go of her past demons, learning not to be alone anymore. There's actually a lot to this character and what she's actually going through, and we see it throughout the entire runtime. You can just tell that Florence Pugh has grown really comfortable in playing Yelena as far as this movie goes. She brings so much emotion across the board, the highs, the lows, and really whatever they ask her to do in this movie, she brings her A game. This is one of the best performances in the MCU. It's really impressive what she does. And then we get to John Walker, the guy that we have all grown to hate, and rightfully so with Falcon and the Winter Soldier. He was written in such a way that there's no redeeming qualities for this guy. So when he was brought into the Thunderbolts and he was on the screen for the first time, I was like, okay, here we go again. But I'm glad to say that the writing really does this character justice. He's still unlikable for the majority of the movie. You still see glimpses of how he was acting in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but there is enough here to give him that character development that by the end of the movie, you are a lot more high on him than you were going into the movie. And then Taskmaster is also in this movie, the character that we were all let down by in Black Widow. She's in this. Nothing really changes from what she was able to do in Black Widow. She's still a great fighter, she's a great marksman, and they do show you that. But I will say she's the most underdeveloped character of the entire movie. If you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Alexei is back as the Red Guardian, and he is the humor of the movie. This guy is the actual cornerstone of what makes this movie funny. The other characters, like I said before, they're funny because of their one-liners of being smartasses, right? Red Guardian is just a funny guy in every scene that he's in, but at the same time, he's not just jokes, right? He is a lot of jokes, and he is the joke in the movie, but he brings that fatherly figure to the team. Not even just Yelena. He is looking over this team. He wants to be there. He wants to see them succeed. Selfishly, he wants the fame, but he also wants to see this team come together because he knows what he's missed out on as far as family goes throughout his entire life. So there is levels of not just being this class clown, this guy that makes everyone laugh. He does that, but there is more to him than just that, which I think is just another testament to the writing. Now, I'm not gonna go into too much detail on Bob, the mysterious character that we keep seeing in the trailers. There are just a lot of layers to this guy, and I think it's better suited for you, if you've not seen the movie, to wait and go see it blind and just know that it's a deep character. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, what would a Marvel movie be without a villain, right? Now, I will say the MCU has had a lot of very forgettable villains. There's a small handful of good ones: Killmonger, Thanos, Loki, people like that. The Void is the villain in the Thunderbolts, and as a villain himself, dude's crazy. The dude's crazy powerful. He is scary. He's very threatening, all the things that you'd want in a villain. But the thing that makes him work, at least the things that made him work for me, is what he represents, what he actually is. If you break down not just a very bad person thing that's gonna do this to people, it's what he represents and what he's actually made of that makes him very memorable and very fitting for this movie. This type of villain, this type of character works perfectly for this movie. It's they hit the nail on the head with doing this villain for this movie because of what the movie is actually about, which I'll get into just a little bit later, because I want to talk about the action, the special effects, things like that, because at the end of the day, this is a Marvel movie, right? We're gonna have tons of action, tons of special effects, so we do have to talk about that. Marvel had a long run of very bad CGI, and I'm glad to say that nothing, as far as my first viewing of this movie, there was nothing that really stood out as far as looking out of place or just blatantly just terrible. So that's actually a good thing, right? Even if nothing looks great, there was nothing that looks terrible or bad or noticeable, which I think is a win as far as Marvel is concerned, because like I said before, if you've seen these MCU movies lately, they have been very much a miss as far as the CGI goes. And the hand-to-hand combat in this movie, whew, this is a movie where every character doesn't have superpowers, right? Yes, Bucky, Red Guardian, they have the super soldier serum, so they're incredibly strong. But at the end of the day, they're still fighting. It's still hand-to-hand combat. All of them are hand-to-hand combat type of fighters, and it's just such a nice change, because it's not someone throwing a hammer, throwing a shield, Iron Man with his armor, with his robot armor. So that makes it more real. It just adds more grittiness to the movie, and even though it's gonna be hand-to-hand combat and it adds that grittiness, it doesn't mean that it's always gonna turn out good. We've seen terrible fight sequences in the MCU and just terrible fight sequences in movies in general lately, but this movie, the way that the camera work is, the way that the fight choreography is, it's so smooth, it looks real, and it just adds to something that is believable, because it's not like Yelena is going to be fighting like the Red Guardian. They are very different in height, in weight, in strength, all these things. So as the camera is panning, you see the different fighting styles from everybody. You see Ghost phasing in and out, doing her thing. You see Bucky using his arm. There's so many examples of that throughout the entire movie, and it's just really well done to where it's believable. These characters are fighting different, and it's just such a cool thing to see. Now let's circle back to the thing that we were talking about before, of what this movie is actually about and why the Void as a villain worked so well for me and why he belongs in this movie. Thunderbolts is about trauma, it's about loneliness, it's about regret, and it's just about mental health as a whole. And I think that the way that they did the movie, the script, the characters, virtually everything about this handled that subject perfectly. So perfect, in fact, I was trying to figure out the creative process of making this movie after watching it, right? Did they want to tackle such a heavy topic right out of the gate and write a script about it, and then they threw the characters in there? Or did they choose these characters to make up the Thunderbolts initially and then try to figure out, hey, what's the single thread that we can, tie all these people into? Oh, their past traumas, and really just go into that, and then they wrote the script around these characters. Either way, it works. If you've seen the movie, you know that it works, and it's just a really rewarding thing, especially in a time where the MCU is getting very bland, right? And not even just the MCU, I'm not even gonna just stay there. Superhero movies as a whole, it's a very formulaic thing, and I've talked about this before on the channel, where every time a superhero movie comes out, for me personally, I need a little bit more. I don't need the beat by beat thing that we've seen all the time and then the happy ending. I need something just a little bit more. And it doesn't have to be this deep. It doesn't have to be just about trauma and these really sad type of things, but there just needs to be a little bit more. And this movie came out and gave me exactly what I was hoping that it would give me. And it's honestly something that I didn't think I was ever gonna get. So there's actually a scene on the back half of the movie with Yelena and Alexei, and they're talking, and it gets so emotional. You really feel their past and their past history together, and then also their lack of history together. And it's something that just really works. Once again, it really works for what the subject matter is in this movie. And I just feel like the script itself, the story, everything was extremely focused in this movie. They set out to do this thing, and everything around that worked so well. And that scene itself is kind of the culmination of everything that was working towards. Alexei was crying, Yelena was crying, I was crying. This is not something that I sign up for when I go and see a Marvel movie. When Thunderbolts was initially announced, I thought to myself, who cares? Why do I want to see these C-list characters come together in a movie? This isn't gonna work. Marvel is out of ideas. They are reaching for anything that they can get, and this is just, it's just not gonna work. I don't even care about the movie. I cannot believe that I'm sitting here years later talking about how this underdog of a movie came out swinging. It's you know, in between all the fighting and the great action, Thunderbolts really makes you feel something, whether that's happy, sad, hopeful, really any emotion. It's just great to see a comic book movie make that jump and be more than just a CGI fight fest. For the first time in a very, very long time, Marvel gave me exactly what I knew that they were capable of, and that is greatness. Also, there are 2 post-credit scenes that you have to stay for. The first one is a joke, but it is worth staying for, and the last one is insane. If this movie got you back on the Marvel train like it did me, you have to stay for that one. It sets up some incredible stuff. Definitely stay for that. Thanks for watching my review of Thunderbolts. I really appreciate it. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of my videos, including this one right here. Go and check that out, and I will catch you in the next one.